Across the country, in communities large and small, urban and community gardens are popping up so folks can get a real first-hand feel to see what it takes to grow the food that they eat. Well, perhaps the most famous garden that's just popped up is right here at the White House.
There's a really big zucchini right here.
Oh, look at that. Okay.
There are worse ways to start your workday in Washington, D.C. Early morning at the White House, and staffers are working in the First Family's kitchen garden. It's volunteer duty for these men and women who get their hands dirty before they head to their desks in the West Wing.
There you go.
Directing the morning's harvest is pastry chef Bill Yosis. Chefs in the garden instead of the kitchen might sound unusual, but Yosis says it's a perfect fit.
As a chef, it's really exciting to be using produce from your own garden because it tastes so much better when it's fresh out of the garden and goes right into the kitchen.
For the first time since Victory Gardens during World War II, there is a vegetable garden at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. It was the idea of First Lady Michelle Obama.
The conversation about planting a garden began before we even got in office. I mean, it was sort of the beginnings of a dream of what if. What if, you know, if Barack wins, we could plant a garden on the South Lawn. I mean, it was as simple and as naive as that idea. So when we got here, we had to investigate whether it was even possible.
Turns out when the First Family wants something done, it gets done.
Now, I noticed there's a really nice eggplant over there.
Now, White House chefs spend their mornings picking up seasonal fresh fruits and vegetables to include in their dishes.
All of these vegetables go to one of two places, either in the house for the First Family or their guests, or if we have an abundance, which sometimes we do, we would use it to distribute to soup kitchens in the area.
But this garden isn't just a way for the Obama family to enjoy fresher ingredients. The First Lady says there's a larger message at work here.
So ultimately, this garden is a way to elevate the conversation about our children's health and hopefully putting an important focus on trying to end the epidemic of childhood obesity in this country.
Michelle Obama has taken on the growing childhood obesity problem in the U.S. by encouraging healthier eating and exercise for kids. It's an effort that goes beyond the garden, from school cafeterias to food manufacturers, trying to improve children's diets and food options.
1 in 3 children in this country are overweight or obese, and we know what happens, the conditions that result from being overweight: diabetes, heart disease, cancer, you name it. So this garden is a way to elevate that conversation and to engage children in this whole notion of eating well, growing your own food, and making friends with vegetables.
After one successful year, the garden grew another several hundred square feet. From chives to chard, each inch of this patch of ground on the South Lawn is used.
We have several kinds of lettuce, heirloom tomatoes, sweet potatoes. We had some huge sweet potatoes last year. They were the prize sweet potatoes, rhubarb, berries, you name it, we have it.
Area school children get hands-on experience helping with the garden, but the daily maintenance is done by the National Park Service grounds crew. They maintain the White House lawn. Horticulturalist Jim Adams says visitors are constantly asking him about the garden.
Because there hasn't been a vegetable garden on the ground since the 1940s. And just seeing the popularity of the local food movement and farmers markets and vegetable gardening in general with school groups and community groups. As a horticulturist, I haven't seen anything like this since I began my career.
Another new addition to the lawn not far from the garden, a beehive. Tell me how many bees are in this hive here?
At the present time, there's probably 45,000.
Staff carpenter Charlie Brantz raises bees as a hobby at home. When the garden got started, he was asked to place a hive nearby. Well, Charlie, this is it, huh?
Yeah, that's the first harvest, the first extraction.
Charlie, let me sample some of the fresh honey from the hives before Chef Bill Yosis gets his hands on it for White House dishes. Looks pretty light. It's a light honey, huh?
It is. Typically, the early honey in this area is a lighter honey. It's got a nice, light, delicate flavor, very floral.
Smells good. Let's try it.
Oh,
You go first.
Okay. Get a good amount here.
First
first honey harvest of 2010, right here.
Yes, it is.
That's great.
I think it's very nice. Nice and thick.
The buzz around the garden is not just from the bees. As the garden has grown, word has spread around the world about what's growing here. How much bigger can it get?
I'm not sure how much further we're going to go with it before it becomes a little farm.
Pull the leaves back on that one over there. Let's see how big that is.
You don't need 1,600 square foot and a bunch of volunteers. You don't have to do it at this scale. We have partners that are planting gardens and getting some good production with beds and little plots by a school window. So there are ways that people can explore the art of community gardening with less, and I would encourage people to explore it.